Hi there. When was the last time you looked up? I mean, really looked up? I found myself in the busyness of, everything that's going on in the world, and certainly in my life, having an opportunity to travel briefly to a place where you are encouraged to look up. It happens to be an amazing mountain range, which I had never been to before, called Fort Davis in West Texas. It's about 2 hours from El Paso, give or take, as the crow flies. And it is surrounded by a lot of dry desert, some of it's oil and gas country, not necessarily lush greenery around it. But Fort Davis is something special. And it's one of those places, and for those of us who live in the city, we don't live in the mountaintop, we don't necessarily appreciate, at least I didn't, how amazing the night sky is. That when we turn off our lights and that we look up, and while this is not new for me, it was a great reminder to look up and to just see what appears to be this amazing blanket of light that surrounds us. And how people can be inspired and humbled and joy-filled and connected to something greater than themselves. Doesn't matter what you call it. That there's something more going on out there. And I had previously had an opportunity. I've been, on mountains before. That part was nothing new. What was new was an opportunity for me to, in the daytime, because we were unfortunately otherwise occupied at night, had an opportunity to go visit the McDonald Observatory, which has several large telescopes. I'd never had that experience before. And what they do in the daytime is they actually have telescopes that will help you look at the sun and actually see what it's doing in, whatever we call real time with distance as it's measured. And there was a wonderful presentation. I kind of felt a little bit like a school kid, and there was a whole mix of people in this auditorium as we're watching this presentation, and this gentleman has his PowerPoint, and he's doing his talk, and he's super enthusiastic. And there's everybody from kind of, Joe Regular like me, who doesn't necessarily have a great versing language in, looking at the sun and what all that means, and the math of it and the science of it and all of that. And there are obviously people who are, and there are little kids who are having just a ball. And in that moment, as I'm in that experience, something different happened for me. Something that's never happened in a scientific presentation before. And I found myself absolutely in awe. What was the awe? It was the incredible creativity and curiosity, and dare I say, without a religious connotation, faith or belief, that was exhibited by the scientists, the researchers, the mathematicians, the physicists, those who actually helped us understand what the sun is, put vocabulary around it, learn how to measure it, understand its implications, how old is it, how young is it. And just the ability to get that creative, to be able to dig and find answers, absolutely gobsmacked me. I'm like, wow, this is super cool. And I found myself, interestingly enough, there was a family member whose parents had raised him, they're both scientists, and had raised him with, and his siblings with it was then records, okay, dating ourselves a little bit, that talked about scientific things in a way that kids could understand. And they had a song that they played off of this record that said something like, the sun is a mass of incandescent gas, a giant nuclear furnace. Sorry I'm not singing well. And I just had a completely different relationship with it. And I just found myself humbled Because when I think about creativity, I tend to think more about the arts. I tend to think more about philosophy. I tend to, not necessarily, knitting and crocheting, but just a different way of approaching creativity. And yet here are these explorers, these scientists, these researchers who have given us a whole new vocabulary, a whole new way of looking at things. And I think, too, part of what grabbed my attention, of course, is the amazing Webb telescope. And looking at that and thinking, when you see something like that, what glory and what majesty is in that? What opportunities do we have? So here I am having a little mountaintop experience with sun and with stars and all that. What does that mean for you? What does that mean for me? Well, as we're going through this holiday weekend, I invite you to just take a moment to look up. If you find, and really just take a moment to breathe in, to become aware of there's more than just us walking around in this human suit. Allow yourself to be in that moment of joy and wonder and perhaps even having a humble moment of realizing there's so much out there that we don't know and that we can't see. And that we have these wonderful, amazing, creative individuals who just sound like they're spouting math. It's just the way that they create. Who are giving us access to places and spaces and time that we never experienced before. And what that can mean for all of us. So take a moment, get yourself outside, and enjoy. And just feel part of, here's the invitation, feel part of something that's way bigger than you, me, my pup, the opportunities, the glories, the problems around us, that when we look up, it can be a symbol of hope and peace. And dare I say, majesty. All right, everybody, go find yourself a star. By the way, Nancy Hart, Whole Heart Evolution, with her Fort Davis experience, go find yourself a star. Go find yourself a telescope. Be safe. Decide to say, be safe. And thank a scientist for all the groovy work that they do. They might look at you funny, but go thank them. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.